What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com.
Here are my DFS picks for NFL Week 13, Monday Night Football.
These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button
And hit that bell icon
so you don't miss our new videos.
Okay guys, in this video, I'm going to give you my top DFS picks for this Monday Night Football showdown between the Tampa Bay Bucks and the New Orleans Saints. And if you stick around to the very end of this video, we'll use the Draft Dashboard tools to make a DFS lineup using the picks we just made. Okay guys, NFL Week 13. Let's take a look at this Monday Night Football showdown between the Tampa Bay Bucks and the New Orleans Saints. So at the quarterback position, I like Tom Brady from the Tampa Bay Bucks. And the Saints have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall. They're middle-of-the-pack defending opposing quarterbacks. Tom Brady has averaged 16.8 fantasy points per game on the season. He gets an average of 1.7 rush attempts per game. He's going to be about 61% owned, projected at 17.8 fantasy points here in Week 13. He's 10,400 DraftKings salary, and Vegas thinks there's going to be 40.5 points scored in this game, with the Bucks favored by 3.5. Now, Tom Brady has scored 18, 17, and 15 fantasy points in the last 3 games. Has not been a great season for Tom Brady, but he's had a lot to deal with. I think most of that is put behind him now. He's able to focus on football. All of his players are healthy. He's getting Leonard Fournette back. He's got all of his weapons. And I think he can score 20 plus fantasy points here tonight. The Tampa Bay Bucks need this win to stay in the playoff hunt. So I like Tom Brady here versus the New Orleans Saints. Okay, let's take a look at the running back position. So the stud on the slate is Alvin Kamara from the New Orleans Saints, playing the Tampa Bay Bucks, who have a good defense overall, and they've been good versus opposing running backs. Alvin Kamara has averaged 16.1 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 13.1 rush attempts per game and 6.5 pass targets per game. So he's going to be about 52% owned, projected at 15.5 fantasy points here in Week 13 or here tonight. He's 10,000 DraftKings salary, and Alvin Kamara has scored 9, 13, and 8 fantasy points in the last 3 games, off of 7, 12, and 8 rush attempts on top of 7, 5, and 4 pass targets. So I like Alvin Kamara here versus the Tampa Bay Bucks. Okay, now for the Tampa Bay Bucks, they're going to get Leonard Fournette back here tonight. He was out last game, and Rachaad White picked up the slack. So we don't know how many carries these guys are going to get. This is a coin flip pick. If you want to go with one of these backs, either of them should be in a good spot. So Leonard Fournette from the Tampa Bay Bucks. The New Orleans Saints have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall. They're middle-of-the-pack defending opposing running backs. Leonard Fournette has averaged 15.9 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 13.5 rush attempts per game and 5 pass targets per game. He's going to be about 32% owned, projected at 10.9 fantasy points here tonight. He's 7,400 DraftKings salary, and Leonard Fournette scored 12 and 11 fantasy points in his last 2 games, off of 14 and 9 rush attempts, on top of 1 and 7 pass targets. So he does catch the ball out of the backfield quite a bit, which gives him some nice passing or pass target upside, or receiving upside, what I was trying to say. So I like Leonard Fournette here versus the New Orleans Saints.
Before I continue with the picks, I'm excited today because we added a new contest for everyone watching.
If you want to enter the drawing for $25 PayPal,
all you need to do is like this video, hit that subscribe button, and make a quick comment below to be entered into the drawing. We'll reply to a random comment and let you know that you won.
and we'll send you $25 PayPal.
So it's that easy, and we pick a new winner every Saturday and announce them in our video. So get your comment in now so I can add another entry for you.
Okay, let's take a look at the wide receiver position. So for the Tampa Bay Bucks, you got a couple of studs on the slate here. The first one is Chris Godwin, and the New Orleans Saints have a middle of the pack defense overall. They give up the 9th most fantasy points to opposing wide receivers. Chris Godwin has averaged 14.9 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 9.6 pass targets per game. He's been on the field for 81% of the snaps, going to be about 54% owned, projected at 16.9 fantasy points here tonight. He's 10,600 DraftKings salary, and Chris Godwin has scored 32, 19, and 11 fantasy points in the last 3 games off of 13, 8, and 10 pass targets. So tons of volume the past 3 weeks. So I like Chris Godwin here versus the New Orleans Saints. Okay, the other stud on the slate here for the Bucks is Mike Evans. He's averaging 14.5 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 8.5 pass targets per game. He's going to be about 52% owned, has been on the field for 93% of the snaps, projected at 13.8 fantasy points here tonight. He's 9,600 DraftKings salary. Mike Evans has scored 5, 10, and 9 fantasy points over the last 3 games off of 9, 6, and 11 pass targets. So it's a good matchup for these Tampa Bay wide receivers. Now, Mike Evans has been underperforming his season average, so I think this could be an opportunity to go with Mike Evans, who I think has got some work to do to catch up to Chris Godwin. Chris Godwin has been really outperforming Mike Evans, and I think Mike Evans just due for a big game here. So I like Mike Evans here versus the New Orleans Saints. Okay, now coming down in salary, take a look at Chris Olave from the New Orleans Saints playing the Tampa Bay Bucks, who have a good defense overall, and they're middle of the pack defending opposing wide receivers. Chris Olave has averaged 15.1 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 8.4 pass targets per game. He's going to be about 48% owned, projected at 13.4 fantasy points here tonight. He's 8,400 DraftKings salary, and Chris Olave has scored 11, 24, and 7 fantasy points in the last 3 games off of 9, 6, and 5 pass targets. So I like Chris Olave here versus the Tampa Bay Bucks. Now coming down in salary quite a bit here, I like Julio Jones from the Tampa Bay Bucks. Julio Jones has averaged 8.5 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 4.2 pass targets per game. He's going to be about 13% owned, projected at 6.7 fantasy points here tonight. He's 5,400 DraftKings salary, and Julio Jones has scored 9, 14, and 5 fantasy points in the last 3 games off of 4, 5, and 5 pass targets. So I like Julio Jones here versus the New Orleans Saints.
Real quick guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. You can try all the tools for NFL. NBA is right around the corner. This is a great time to get in and try everything for 1 month. The tools are all about saving research time. You can see the last 3 games, the fantasy points per game, the targets they got per game, so you can see how involved they are in the offense, the rushes they got per game. Seeing all this stuff on one screen helps you save time and make better picks. Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups.
Then I also like Jarvis Landry from the New Orleans Saints. He's averaging 8.5 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 5 pass targets per game. He's going to be about 24% owned, projected at 8.6 fantasy points here tonight. He's $5,200 DraftKings salary, and Jarvis Landry has scored 4, 12, and 7 fantasy points in the last 3 games off of 4, 4, and 6 pass targets. So I like Jarvis Landry here versus the Tampa Bay Bucks. Okay, just remember that Russell Gage is going to be coming back here in Week 13. So Russell Gage has averaged 8.4 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 5.7 pass targets per game. He's going to be about 18% owned, and he's projected at 5.8 fantasy points here tonight. He's $4,600 DraftKings salary. So Russell Gage from the Tampa Bay Bucks, he could be an interesting pick here. But if you're looking to save a ton of salary and a guy that could get 2 to 3 pass targets, take a look at Rashid Shaheed from the New Orleans Saints. He's averaging 5.9 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 1.6 pass targets per game. He's going to be about 16% owned, projected at 3.6 fantasy points here tonight. Now, the reason I like this pick is because he's only $1,400 DraftKings salary, and Rashid Shaheed has he scored 8, 2, and 2 fantasy points in the last 3 games off of 3, 2, and 1 pass target, and he got a rush attempt last game as well. So if he can get 2 to 3 pass targets, maybe a rush attempt in this game, rack up just 5, 6 fantasy points. If he happens to score a touchdown, he'll definitely hit value and be a fantastic play. So I like Rashid Shaheed here versus the Tampa Bay Bucks. Okay, moving on to the tight end position. You have Taysom Hill from the New Orleans Saints, who's averaging 8.8 fantasy points per game on the season. He gets an average of 5.3 rush attempts per game. Gets an average of about 1 pass target per game. Now, he's only on the field for 27% of the snaps. He's going to be about 14% owned, projected at 8.1 fantasy points here tonight. He's $6,400 DraftKings salary. I think I would prefer to play some of those wide receivers over Taysom Hill, but he's always in play. He's a surprising player. He can always come in and score one of those gadget plays, or they'll put him in on the goal line for a rushing touchdown. So you always got to keep your eye on Taysom Hill. And then it looks like Cameron Brate is going to be back for the Tampa Bay Bucks. So you had Cade Otton, who's been playing for the injured Cameron Brate. Now with Cameron Brate back, going to be hard to know who's going to get the snaps, who's going to get the pass targets in this one. So I might just stay away from these tight ends here tonight. But Cameron Brate was averaging 4.2 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 4.1 pass targets per game. Going to be about 10% owned, $3,000 DraftKings salary. Cade Otton, he's averaging 6 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 3.5 pass targets per game. Going to be about 12% owned, projected at 4.6 fantasy points here tonight. Only $1,800 DraftKings salary. So a couple low salary options for you if you're looking to risk it at the tight end. But again, I'm probably going to stay away from the tight end position on this slate.
If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video or just go to draftdashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smickety smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this NFL slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again and good luck.